Hello, thank you for joining me today on today's educational topic. We have load versus capacity. The purpose of this talk is for you to understand how injuries happen, including the pain you've been experiencing, not only so we can make sense of why we get hurt, but also to better understand how we might shift our behaviors to build the kind of body that would be more resilient to injury in the first place. So, in the next 5 to 10 minutes, probably actually closer to 10 minutes, you'll have a more clear understanding of the things that are within your control to change so that you can experience more freedom with less concern for pain or injury. So, we're going to start by defining a few terms. Loads are anything that cost you energy and act as a withdrawal from your bank account. Now, this can be physical, mental, or emotional stressors. A workout is a load on your system, same as an argument with someone you love is a load on your system. The next definition is going to be your capacity. Now, this is going to be the size of your bank account. As long as we stay below our capacity, we will remain healthy and relatively pain-free. Now, if we cross our capacity, we'll be cashing a check that is too big for our bank account and we'll experience a problem. Sometimes that problem could be painful. The reason that it might be painful is that a problem can occur without causing pain. For example, moving a couch that is too heavy for you. You want to do it, but you can't. That's frustrating, but not necessarily painful. Now, if you drop something on your toe and you break your toe, that object you dropped on your toe exceeded your toe's capacity. That's probably going to be painful. So, now that we've cleared those two definitions up, we're going to go into a graph here. This dotted line is going to represent your capacity, which is how much your body can handle. We know that we want to stay below this dotted line. The next three boxes are going to represent pre-existing loads that all of us face every day. The first one is going to be our anatomical differences. Whether due to previous injury or something you were born with, this box represents any aspect of your anatomy that isn't serving you the way you'd like. This can be as simple as two hips that are shaped a little differently, or as complex and severe as a fracture or a tear. This doesn't necessarily mean that you face a problem in your daily life, though. The second load represents the things that are well within our control to contribute how effectively you recover. These three critical items are your stress response, your sleep quality and quantity, and your nutritional quality and quantity. The worse of each of these is the greater the load that your body will incur and the closer you'll get to crossing your capacity. Now, the third load is going to be your functional scope. Put simply, what can you do? This gives us an overview of your flexibility and mobility or your capacity for movement. What positions can you get into and how easily can you get into them? This scope plays a huge role in how you move and how you feel. So this is a primary area for us to address. Now, all of these boxes, what's important for us to know is that not only are they different from person to person, but they also change from day to day. So for an example, the 20-year-old gymnast who gets 9 hours of sleep a day has mindful meditation practices, is tracking her macronutrients, she probably has some pretty small boxes. She might not have a lot of major injuries at this point, and she moves and recovers very well. But on the other end, a 51-year-old mother of 3 teenagers who works a crazy job, has a frustrating boss, sleeps 5 hours a night maybe, stresses intensely all day, and just grabs whatever she can to eat when and whatever it is, her boxes are going to be way closer to her capacity most of the time. So these next boxes exist for us when we wake up, all right? So these are going to be life starts. Most of us have some things to do around the house before we get started, before we go to work. Maybe we have kids to take care of. That's going to be a stressor. That's going to be taking us closer to our capacity. Then we go to work. Whether we're manual laborers or we work at the desk job for 6 to 10 hours a day, that's a big load on our system. You get off of work and we finally have the opportunities to do some exercise. Awesome. Let's begin. The workout starts with some stationary biking. Your knee feels fine. Then we do some push-ups, no bother there either, even though we need to modify a push-up a little bit because we can't do them from the floor just yet. Finally, we get to some lunges. Halfway through the lunges, your knee starts to scream. Before the workout can even finish, you stop doing the lunges. You feel it for the next 2 or 3 days after the workout, and you dread doing lunges going forward. What happens to many people is they're faced with a difficult decision. Whether it's exercise, recreation, work, or taking care of things around the house, many people end up choosing between doing the things they want to do and being out of pain. And that really sucks. But we think there's a better option. It's better to determine the things that are within our control to improve our function so we can live a more full life without fear and suffering associated with the physical pain we've become so used to experiencing. We don't need to sit on the sidelines of our lives anymore. We don't have to give up on activities and experiences that are most meaningful to us, oftentimes which involve relationships with the people we love the most in our lives. A life of more physical freedom is a better life around the board. So, how can we feel better in our bodies without sacrificing the activities we want to do? Let's see what we can do about these boxes so we have fewer problems. Anatomical differences. Unfortunately, our time machine is broken, and we're not going to be able to consider any major reversals of injuries that we've experienced. Well, here's the good news. As you can see, that box of your previous injuries is not crossing your capacity. You hanging out on the couch and watching TV is not bothering your knee. What this means is that our previous injuries don't define what our bodies are capable of. Again, this is really good news. There are people around the world who are out of pain and living fulfilling, active lives. By no means are these things death sentences, and one of the most important beliefs that we can start to dispel is that they are. There are simply too many people with too many injuries living the lives that they are inspired by. So let's take it box number 2, our recovery box. The next box that we can address provides us with even more good news. This box is largely within our control to influence. Unlike some other factors like what we're born with, this box contains behaviors that we choose to do, that we choose to do, that influence how our bodies recover and regenerate. The recovery box is built by the habits that we've formed around our stress response, our diets, and our sleeping patterns. For example, how do we respond to stressful situations? How do we sleep? How much are we sleeping and how well are we sleeping? How do we eat? How much are we eating and how well are we eating? All of these factors contribute to whether our bodies are in breakdown mode or build-up mode. The difference being between healing and degeneration is largely determined by the environment which we create for ourselves. Now, after the recovery box, we have the functional scope box, or what movements can we physically accomplish, what ranges of motion can we move through, and with what ease can we do it. This helps us understand what movements we'll likely be capable of without discomfort and starts to paint a pretty clear picture of their greatest opportunities for improvement. We always want to know what function is available to us to improve, how relevant it is, and what benefit it might give us to improve it. For example, if we find that a knee joint can't go through full range of motion when someone lightly takes it to end range of motion, then we can confidently bet that loading this joint with more weight and speed won't feel so good. And if it's at end range of motion and it doesn't bother us, what it tells us is that the other joints are doing more work, since any time part of our body doesn't move, its neighbors have to do more. So whether or not something hurts now, creating the opportunity for our entire body to work together and share the load of life improves the chances of feeling good in the long term. By the same token, if we find something moves well, we leave it alone and focus on what needs improving. So Let's say that we've created some intentional change in your recovery box by improving certain habits that go around what you put in your body, how you respond to stress, and even the routine that gets you better sleep. This box reduces, let's say, in half. Now we got more capacity to work with. Next, we go through our movement screen. We find a clear opportunity to improve on certain ranges of motion. This in turn reduces the load that our joints experience and allow us to move more freely. Bearing anything you were born with that might not change so fast, like the shapes of your bones, let's say that we reduce the size of your box by even 50%. That's a huge win. So now if we reconsider the version of you that's been attended to in these ways and redraw the same loads you deal with in your life currently, we see how this impacts you. If we carry over the previous injuries that the time machine won't change yet, on top of that, we stack the new and improved recovery box. And then on top of that, we stack the new and improved functional scope box that allows you to get more range of motion and improved your strength and control. You gained more range of motion. Now let's restack the same boxes of the wants and needs of your life, the stuff around the house, the work, the exercise. Here's biking, here's the push-ups, and here's the lunges. As you can see, they happily fit under the plan. No problem. Fantastic news. What people often find now is that they're elated at the comfort they feel and they increase in the freedom they find. Their eagerness gets away from them and they start stacking activities fast. Hiking, yoga, martial arts, going on run, adding extra exercises to class in the week. Then these boxes stack up and they cross over the capacity line. They end up confused and frustrated. These activities have never been an issue before. I thought I was better. What's the deal? Well, getting stronger, fit, healthier, and staying out of pain is a two-pronged approach. The first involves changing the loads of the experience that are within our influence. The other is what active life professionals do better than anyone else in the world. Intentionally and progressively increase your capacity relevant to your unique life so that you can accommodate more of the things you want and need without having to worry about crashing through this wall and getting sidelined. So as long as we're responsible about the rate at which we add loads to our system, make sure we're intentionally increasing our capacity, and make sure we're responsible about our recovery, we get to experience more and more physical freedom and the mental, emotional, and social benefits that come with it. Thank you for watching. We're going to talk about this on the next call that we have together. So I appreciate you taking the time to go through this, and thank you very much.